Marine Le Pen has been found guilty of fraud, resulting in a 5-year ban from holding public office. The ruling, if upheld, would prevent her from participating in the 2027 presidential election, and Le Pen has appealed the decision. Welcome to Riks Europe. Hélène de Lauzun is a columnist for the European Conservative and Paris correspondent.
Good morning, Rebecca.
Morning. So can you tell us about this? Do you think it's justified to already impose a ban to run for office?
In fact, there are several problems in this affair, in this judicial case. You have the facts themselves. Is Marine Le Pen guilty or not guilty? I think that there are some elements that are not in favor of the party and of her. But in the global picture, it is important to remind that the period concerned by the judgment is a period when the rules at the European Parliament weren't very clear, and many other parties have had just the same behavior as the National Rally, and they are not put to trial nowadays. The second thing is, of course, the decision of ineligibility assorted with what we call a provisional enforcement, which means that even if she appeals, the enforcement of the sentence is immediate, which means, as you told us, that she's not going to be able to be the candidate for the 2027 election. This decision is a particularly serious one because it's a political one. The judge had the possibility of not choosing the immediate execution. That's, for example, the case for Louis Alliot, who is a local member of the National Rally. He's mayor of Perpignan in the south. The immediate execution was not decided for him. So it was possible to choose that. But if you read the text of the judgment, you can see that it is a political decision and that the judge indeed decided to stop her to go to the presidential election. That's why it is very serious, because she's targeted as a political major figure that has some chance to win the presidential election.
And can you tell us more about this political decision? Because there are those who argue against that. What evidence is there that shows that this is in fact political?
Well, you have the text of the judgment itself, which expressly, you can find that on Twitter in some articles. It expressly mentions that they don't want her to be in the presidential race. So it's in a way assumed by the magistrates. And the other thing is that a few days ago, you had a ruling from one of the highest body in the French state, which is the Constitutional Council, and it was for a local election, and the Constitutional Council ruled exactly on that same question of immediate ineligibility. And the ruling says, well, you cannot enforce it because it would affect the freedom of the voter. And of course, if you draw an analogy with the situation of Marine Le Pen, you understand that there is indeed a problem. The freedom of the voter is indeed infringed by this decision. So there is going to be an appeal to the Constitutional Court, an appeal of the decision. So there are many voices that are going to be raised against this ruling, but we don't know yet if they are going to succeed. So the future remains very uncertain for Marine Le Pen and her party.
And the political opponents, are they supporting the judgment?
Well, it's complicated in a way. Our own Prime Minister, François Bayrou, expressed the fact that he was disturbed, confused by the decision of the judge. He was criticized for that, of course, on the left, but it's very symbolical. If he's disturbed, confused, it is because he understands that there is something that is unfair in this provisional execution. Another voice has raised, the one of Jean-Luc Mélenchon, who is a very strong opponent to Marine Le Pen, is on the far left, but he considers that it is the role of the voters to decide whether Marine Le Pen is worth becoming a president or not, and not the role of the courts. So, indeed, it is not an unanimous decision.
And if Le Pen does this appeal, and there's a verdict by summer 2026. Will it be in time for the 2027 election, or is it certain that she will not be able to run?
That's the question. The Court of Appeal just said that the case would be examined next year, so in 2026. And it's quicker than usual. Usually we can consider that the procedure is 2 years long. So it's going to be a bit shorter. So it's possible, but there is, of course, a slight possibility that it doesn't succeed. There are two questions. The delay, of course, and will it succeed or not? And in any case, it's going to be very short for her to campaign in good conditions. And one other element is very important to understand is the financial dimension. There is a huge fine for the party to pay, and usually the National Rally is in great difficulty to obtain some funds because there are some obstructions from the bank to lend some money to the party. So if you consider the restricted time to campaign, the fine, and the amount of money to fine, of course, the National Rally is going to be in very bad condition to prepare itself to the next election.
And considering that she's been found guilty for fraud, is there anything that says that there is justification with this decision, in your opinion?
Well, I think that it's difficult to say because I don't know the precise, all the details of the precise case. But I think, to my mind, but it's only a personal opinion, that on some aspects, the National Rally has been too far in using, indeed, some as parliamentary assistant of the European Parliament for national business. I don't criticize that because I consider that if you're a sovereignist, which is the case, of course, with the National Rally, you consider that you cannot spend all your money in fighting for an institution that you criticize somewhere else. But indeed, we can consider that they've been too far in that way. And but once more, all the parties did that, and by any chance is one of the only one to be targeted nowadays.
Do you see any broader implications for the French so-called far-right movement? Could this lead to a shift in voter support towards mainstream conservative candidates, or do you think that this will strengthen the support?
That's hard to say now. Of course, the first polls that were edited just after the judgments show that Jordan Bardella, who is the president of the party now, is very popular and could get a good score. But we are more 2 years before the election. That's a long road, and it's not sure that his popularity is going to remain at a so high level during all this time. So I think it can be an opportunity because the French are going to consider that, this was a political decision and that the system doesn't want their candidate to succeed. But on the other hand, things may change in the political spectrum. We could see other candidates emerging and being more credible than Bardella, who is very young, is 29, which is totally unusual in a French presidential election. So many uncertainties for the future.
Thank you very much, Hélène de Lauzun, columnist for the European Conservative and Paris correspondent, for your time.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you for watching Riks Europe.